Everyone, the World Chess Championship 2024 has begun. The young Indian chess player Gukesh takes on Ding Liren, the world champion. In the first game, Gukesh is playing as white. He moves pawn to e4 and Ding responds with pawn to e6, the French defense. d4 played by Gukesh and d5 by Ding. Now Gukesh moves knight to c3 and Ding responds to knight to f6. Here two popular moves are bishop to g5 and pawn to e5. Gukesh chooses pawn to e5. Black knight has to be moved and it goes back to d7. Gukesh pushes the pawn to f4 and Ding hits back with c5. This is the classic tennis variation. Now Gukesh surprises with less popular move knight c to e2. Ding brings out the knight to c6. Gukesh pushes pawn to c3 and maintain the connected pawn structure. This point, Ding starts to think over 30 minutes and he moves the pawn to a5 and Gukesh brings other knight to f3. Ding even pushes to a4 and gains some space in queen side. In the contrary, white has gained more space in the king side. After that, we get the move bishop to e3 and black bishop to e7. Here Gukesh pushes pawn to g4 and it is a new move. Ding places queen to a5 and it takes Gukesh out of his preparation. So he took 20 minutes to make his next move and plays bishop to g2. In response, Ding pressurized the queen side by moving pawn to a3. Now Gukesh pushes the pawn to b3. This slightly weakened the c3 pawn and now it is protected by the knight on e2. Now Ding captures the pawn d4. Gukesh hit back by moving the pawn to b4. The queen is attacked. Now Gukesh captured the pawn on d4 by knight. Ding takes 20 minutes for the next move and plays the knight to b6. At this point, Ding is getting very low on time compared to Gukesh. Now Gukesh castle on king side and Ding moves knight c4 to attack the bishop and it is also a good outpost for the knight. Now Gukesh moved the bishop back to f2 and Ding plays bishop on d7. Now Gukesh takes a long time for the next move and plays queen to e2. In fact, the time advantage of Gukesh has started losing at this point. Ding captures knight on d4. Gukesh takes the knight on the d4 by his knight. Now Gukesh starts lose control on the game. He could have captured the knight using the bishop. He could have captured the knight using the bishop and supports the pawn on c3. Unfortunately, he captures with the knight. Now Ding moves knight to b2 and it is an incredible move by Ding. Here, Gukesh tried to guard the c3 pawn by moving queen to e3. Immediately, Ding moved rook to c8 to attack the c3 pawn again. Once Gukesh moved the rook to c1 to defend the c3 pawn. Now Ding played a nice move that queen to c4, which attacks the a2 pawn as well as keep the move to d3. Here Gukesh pushes the pawn to f5 and Gukesh's time is lower compared to Ding, and Ding finds all the best moves simultaneously. Now Ding moves the queen to d3. If black is able to exchange the queens, it will be very good for black because all the pawns are weak now. This point, the knight forks the pawn and the rook, as well as c3 pawn is weak, and this b4 pawn is attacked by the bishop. Therefore, Gukesh moves the queen to e1, but this is a slight error by Gukesh, and Ding plays a great move playing bishop to g5. Now the bishop is attacking the rook. The rook has to move from there. Gukesh moved the rook to c2. Next, Ding plays a nice move by moving the rook to c4. Here the Ding's idea to sack the rook with the knight. Sack the rook here. For example, if you play h3, he can take the knight, and if you take the rook, you can take this rook and he will be up a piece. Extra knight will be here. That is the idea of Ding. So Gukesh hits the bishop by h4. In response, Ding moved the bishop to f4. Now the bishop attacks the d5 pawn and also keeping the rook sack alive. Now Gukesh plays queen to b1. Now the rook takes the pawn, rook takes rook, and the queen takes rook. Now Gukesh captures the pawn on a6. Here Ding captures the pawn by the f7 pawn. It is a slight error. He could have captured with the bishop. After that, Gukesh moved the knight to e2. It is a great move. It forks the queen and the bishop. Therefore, Ding moves the queen and captures this pawn, and Gukesh takes the bishop. Now Gukesh played a mistake by moving queen to c2 after Ding takes the knight. He could have played bishop to c5 and stop black from castling. Instead, he played a slight inaccurate move, queen to c2. Then white will be okay in the game. Instead, Gukesh played queen to c2 and Ding plays queen to c4, offering an exchange of queens. It will be very good for black. So Gukesh responds with the queen to d2. After that, Ding castles on king side, Now the position of Ding black or black side is very good, and Gukesh may place the move to bishop to d4, and black moves knight to d3. Gukesh spent 3 minutes for next move, and he plays the queen to e3, and he is very low on time. He has only 45 seconds for the next seven moves. Now rook takes rook, bishop takes rook, e5 by the Ding. It is a great move. Gukesh take the pawn with pawn by bishop, and queen takes g4. Now Gukesh blocks the check by bishop by playing g2. After that, Ding plays bishop to f5, and Gukesh plays bishop to g3. Ding plays bishop to e4. Now the rook takes the pawn, rook takes rook, and the queen takes rook. Now black is clearly winning. By this move, Ding stopped the checkmate on e1. For example, if knight had taken this pawn, the queen can move to e1 and make checkmate. That is stopped my move by bishop to e4. Now Gukesh plays king to h2, and Ding plays h6. And Gukesh plays bishop to h3, attacking the queen. Ding plays queen to d1, threatening checkmate, battery checkmate on h1. After this, Gukesh plays bishop to d6, creating a square for king, that is in the g3. Now Ding plays queen to c2 check, and Gukesh plays king g3, and Ding takes queen pawn on a2 by queen, and now both the players have additional 30 minutes. Now Gukesh play bishop to e6 check, and Ding plays king h8. At this point, Gukesh resigns the game because it is all over for white. Black has extra 3 pawns and a 1 passed pawn which is supported by the queen. On move 42, Ding wins the game by the resignation of Gukesh. If black play kings to h7, white can sack the queen and takes the queen, and bishop takes the queen. White is up a piece, but black is okay here, and the games go on. Instead, Ding played a great move h8 and winning the game. Thank you everyone. Ding won the first game of chess championship.